Syracuse Board of Zoning Appeals meeting of March 28th, 2019 is now in session. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from the March 7th, 2019 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposition? Abstentions? The minutes are officially adopted. The board will now conduct the public hearings on today's agenda. The way we do it here is that the applicant or the applicant's representative will state the reasons for the requested variance and present any material or documentation which is to be considered regarding the proposal. Next, persons wishing to speak in favor of the proposal will be given the opportunity to address the board. Then, persons who wish to speak in opposition will be allowed to address the board. Finally, the applicant or a representative will be given the option to make any closing arguments or comments to the board. Following the public hearings this afternoon, the board may make a decision on each application heard. The board may also decide to hold its decision until the next public hearing. If the hearing is closed, no additional information will be allowed into the record, except for information that the board may request. That information will be available for public review at the zoning office in City Hall Commons. Staff will now introduce the first application.
Good afternoon. The first application is application V19-10. This is an area variance for the required front yard, side yard, density, maximum structural coverage, and parking for the properties at 1219 through 1221, 1225 through 1227, 1231, 1237, 1301, 1311, 1317, and 1323 East Genesee Street, and 208 through 216, or 208, 216, 218, 222, and 224 Ashworth Place, to establish a multifamily dwelling. The property owner and applicant is Northside Genesee Associates, LLC, and the property is located within a residential Class B and residential Class C zoning districts. And I do not believe that there is anyone.
Anybody here for the applicant? I didn't think so either. Well, this is a continuation, right?
Yes.
So the hearing, we're reopening the hearing. Is that how I understand it?
It was held.
It was held, so it's still open. So we can skip to, let's just go to the next one.
We can do.
Rearrange the order.
And give them a chance to come in there.
Next application is application V19-12. This is an area variance for the required parking for the property at 500 through 524 Butternut Street. And this is to establish a church. The property owner is Butternut Real Estate Corporation, and the applicant is the Vineyard Church. The property is located within a residential Class A and a residential, or business Class A and a residential Class A zoning district. There's also a second case to follow that's a companion case, but we'll hear them separately.
Good afternoon. My name's John Elmer. I'm the senior pastor at the Vineyard. It's a church that's a multi-site church. We have about 1,500 people on a weekend at 5 different locations, our newest one being on the north side. And so we just started that site on the north side. We started a community center on the North Salina Street, right next to where the fire was. Our building made it. And so we were looking all over for the north side for to find a building that could house what we want to do. It took a long time. We found this building right here above Pavone's Pizza. It had been empty for 4 years. The previous tenant was Interfaith Works, and before that, going back into the 90s, the early 90s, was Peace Incorporated, had it before then. So it was done for a lot of community groups and trainings and stuff. So the building's been empty, the upstairs part that we're looking at. So I think we really will bring it back to life, that building, that area. Right now, there's been a lot of just being there and doing some work on a building. We see a lot of prostitution and drug trafficking going on behind there in the back parking lot that we're considering there. the building plans have been accepted by the code department. Calls for 170 seats in this sanctuary, which means we need 34 parking spots. The whole, and I got to just say this, I'm more concerned about parking than you are, as understanding how churches develop and how people gather, people want to park. And so without parking spots, a building's no good to us. So I'm very interested in how much parking is out. And I have no doubt that this will have enough parking for it. We were required 34 parking spots. So if you look this, I just brought this because it's easier for a visual for y'all.
You can pull the microphone out and carry it with you.
Can do some singing too. This feels good having a mic. So this is North McBride right here, and it goes on a hill. So we're actually a first floor right here. But if you, the building had 30 spots back here. With the new drawings we have, the site plan, there's 18 spots here. Down along here, which is not official parking, but there are 14 spots there that don't get counted. This front area has 111 spots. The front area for the last, for 4 weeks while we first put in our thing, we went there at 11 o'clock, between 11 and 12 o'clock when our people would be coming to church. And we found, I got a sheet for you if you want it. We just counted how many cars were in the parking lot that were doing business in the stores at that time. And it was basically 10 to 13. I can give you the sheet if you'd like that.
You didn't state your address, so if you tell us for the record.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you gotta do it to the microphone. Actually, you're right next to the recorder.
Yeah, so I'm 524 North Butternut Street is where the building's at. And so we checked the parking while we would be having services. And you can notice it's basically 10 to 13, except for the 1 week. And it's like 24, what's going on there? Super Bowl weekend. So everybody grabbing chips and pizzas and stuff. So this is hardly used by the businesses in there.
Is there a Family Dollar there now?
There's a Family Dollar and a Save-A-Lot, Pavone's Pizza, Chinese restaurant, and a phone.
So the main doorway is up in upper right.
It's right up here.
Is that the only doorway?
Nope, there's one back here as well.
Is there any way from ground level up within the building, let's say through the Family
Nope.
Dollar store?
No, you would park here and you'd walk up here. It's a sidewalk area. Yeah.
Does the city not consider those legal parking spots on the ramp going up?
They cannot. I don't know how you answer that. I know they said they can't count as spots for this.
Those are located within the city right away, and there's never been an encroachment approved for those spots, so they're not legal spots.
People are parking there every day? Are they being ticketed or towed or something?
No,
Knowledge.
the people are parking there. No one's getting ticketed or towed. Not many people, but you'll see some people.
But towards your requirement, we can't count.
You can't see those, but just to make mention they're there.
So we know what the city requires under zoning for the number of parking spots. What's the number you think you require on a Sunday?
It's probably not that far off. The city has five people, 5 seats per car, right? Yeah.
The question is, how many people normally attend a service?
We just started services. We're in Franklin School, which is about 2 blocks away. So we have about 50. And a sanctuary that has 170 seats. In American culture, If that's 75% full, it feels full. And so you never grow a sanctuary more than 75%. So when we get to about 120, 125, we would start a second service. So that's our cap that we would see, and that's how I've done it all the way through.
And how long of a lease would you expect, are you signing up for with the?
It's a 7-year lease. Yeah.
In your sheet here, you say the church would need a total of 34 parking spaces on a Sunday. Is that what you think your requirement is?
That's the city's requirement. That's what they would say, the city's saying.
Okay, and what would you say? What number would you give?
I'd probably not be that far off of that, because we would probably, once we got up to about 120, I would think maybe 40, to be honest, more like 40-ish when we were.
So all your needs would really be met by the big lot there?
Very easily. Like, there's so few cars doing business at that time in that plaza, so it seems like it's.
But it's more for the city's requirement that you're looking for that area back in the residential part of the lot. You don't really need that for your own purposes.
Are you talking to the second issue?
Yeah, the 18 parking spots at the back.
Addressing the second issue of going into the residential? No, the value of having that, and I was pretty disappointed when we found out that we couldn't have there's like 30 plus parking spots back there. To having this, the beauty of that is cars with kids can park there easily, and we would have that as family parking. And they could come in, there's a double door right here, and our kids' wing is right here. So it makes it real easy for kids, and the couple of spots right close would be handicap, would make it'd be the easiest thing for families.
So without that, there are 34 back there and 18 are in the residential areas?
I'm not sure if it's exactly 34. It was previously, if we're shifting the other thing, previously, when Pavones bought this building in '84, that was parking at that point. So I don't know what happened before. They had parking there from what I was told by the realtor. And it was somewhere over 30 spots as I counted the stripes. I can't remember the exact number. And it's been used as parking for decades. It's actually very secluded. I have some pictures for you if you want to see those.
I drove by the other day. It's between houses and residences. It is. I'm frankly reluctant about that.
That's okay.
It's okay.
Just make sure Melissa gets one.
So a parking thing?
Those, that parking back there, it has been parking for decades. It is secluded because of the slope of the hill. Those are really feel pretty distant, don't really see anything. There's trees and land in the space as well. And so if we're shifting to the second thing, what we're looking for is, as you guys well know, you can only have it 50 feet past the commercial area, which is right here. This is part of the building. So we're just going up to here. And I think on one of those pictures you can see it's a huge wall. If I was one of the neighbors, I would prefer having some cars back there on Sunday morning than drugs and prostitution all week. But that's
interesting argument.
And it's not, it's only 15. Most of those 15 or 18 spaces are already in the commercial area.
We're gonna have to call. Well, we're gonna have to call this. That's a
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a separate thing. I didn't mean to switch into it. You guys were asking me a
Yep.
question about it.
Oh no, you didn't do anything.
So on Sundays, when people come in to park, if I park in front of the Pavones and I want to go into the main entrance, I have to come out towards McBride and walk up that area where people tend to normally park, even though they're not supposed to. So where am I walking? Am I behind the cars? Is there enough space between the front of the cars, the buildings, so I don't have to walk basically in the road?
If you look at my pictures, you'll see the spot
Where they actually
where
can,
you would walk. It's like a long ramp.
yeah, but I don't know where the cars would be in relation to the ramp piece.
In my,
you know?
in the top
It
picture,
looks like,
I think there's parking.
there were cars parked to the left of that top picture when I took it.
I can see,
You'd have to go behind the cars.
I think you'd have to go behind, right?
Yeah, you'd go behind the car.
Just from a kind of safety perspective as people are walking up and down, because it sounds like all the traffic's gonna come out of the main lot, over to McBride, and up to your doors, right? To walk in.
For those who would be parked here.
For those who would be parked there, if depending on the parking in the back, they'd come through there.
Actually, it might be safer than one that was a loading dock, you know, because you have the overhead.
Sure, possibly, yep.
Page 140,
That loading dock is going
140,
away.
you can see, aerial.
It's
view.
going to be gone.
Are you the,
I s-
go ahead. Are you the pastor for this building, or are you the pastor for all of the facilities that you talked about?
At this moment, both. Eventually, I do preach there live, but eventually what will happen is we'll develop someone who will be the site pastor there.
Is there, I'm just asking, is there handicap accessibility? You're on the second floor.
Yes, it's all, actually, what you can't tell from the pictures, all the doors are first floor. So this, if you were to park right here, it's totally handicap accessible, the same as back here, because McBride goes up a hill there. So even though, if you look at the front of the building from Butternut, it's the second floor. If you look this way, it's first floor.
That's the main door there.
So that's the second, that's called the second floor.
It's a
Driving from the back, or just driving?
Other questions?
Are there any plans to do activities there on days that are not Sundays? You know, any other?
Yeah, we'll do small groups, kids things maybe, different normal weekday church events kind of thing that are small, 10, 20 people.
Be your main campus for your venue?
No, our main campus is the former BOCES building over in Lakeland. 44,000 square feet. We have 1,000 people at that campus.
Kind of across the street from the old PNC warehouse, right?
Kind of, across from
Yeah.
690, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, that's our main campus.
In your letter, you note that weekly church service is 11:30 to 12:30 on Sundays.
Correct.
That's correct?
Yeah.
So the parking statistics are run from 11 to noon. And at least I know in most of the churches I've gone to, that usually people kind of hang out, chat, social, spend a little more time there after service is done. So from 12:30, well, from actually noon, since based on your statistics, that's the number of cars we counted, to 1 or so, are there more people there? Do we know?
We
Working
didn't, I didn't have somebody sit there that long to count. I would guess, it's probably about the same, but I don't have any, that's anecdotal, that's not sitting there and counting the cars.
So, I mean, you could be there, would you ever have like a Sunday dinner thing after church?
Sure, that's possible.
Saturday.
You know, and you're exactly right, that we would do, you know, some service, we have about an hour service. Half people go right out right away, you know, and half people hang around, like you're kind of saying.
Sure.
And every once in a while, there's something that's going to go on that most people might stick around for, that's just church life. But again, I wouldn't see, and if we thought it was an issue, I would have had somebody sit there from 1 to 2, we would have had somebody count as well.
Are you trying to build a new audience, a new congregation, and might they be walkers from that neighborhood?
That was one of the things I was going to get to. That's exactly what we're trying to do. That's why we really love this building. It's right in the middle of everything. Central Bus Line has a stop right there that stops at 11:20, so it's perfect timing for our services. So we already have people walking to there. And so that's why I'm very comfortable with the amount of parking that we have, because there will be a lot of neighborhood people that'll walk, people that'll take the bus.
That really is a neighborhood where a lot of people do walk. I know I've seen
Yes,
a
yeah.
particular Save-A-Lot store, and it seems
Yeah.
like a lot of people walk there.
Yes, yeah, it does.
Other questions? Any other questions? Thank you very much, but you'll stay there? Because
Yep.
Melissa will read the next case.
The next case is an exception case, E-19-01, for the property at 500 through 524 Butternut Street. This is to extend the parking into a residential Class A zoning district for the property owner Butternut Real Estate Corporation, and the applicant is the Vineyard Church. The property is located within a business Class A and a residential Class A zoning district.
I'm going to ask you to state your name and address again.
Yep, I'm still John Elmer, and the building we're looking at is 524 Butternut Street. And one thing I did want to note, reading the docket and what it said, it says expand into residential area. It's not actually expanding into. It's been there, it has been there for decades, and already been used like that. We're actually reducing what's there. So if it didn't come up, if we didn't change it to a church, if interface.
It's zoned residential, though, I believe, is that?
It's all right.
Correct.
There's been parking back there. We couldn't find any legal approvals for that parking. And so they're reducing what's there, but still extending 50 feet into the residential zoning district.
What do you mean by reducing?
It goes straight through the driveway parking area. What they're doing is basically closing off the gate area and restricting the limit to where you can go.
So
Into that.
you'd come in from Butternut and drive all the way up there? You would
Yes,
not come
You cannot
from the
exit
back?
back through the East Laurel. You have to go back through Butternut.
I see.
Through McBride.
Yes.
McBride to
Right.
Butternut.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, any more discussion on this? You have anything you want to say, Pastor?
Well, it's kind of the same stuff I just said. It's been there, and we're actually reducing it, not adding. It is a very secluded area from the neighbors. If one of you said you got up there, I hope you got in back there, you could kind of see that. And it was over 30 spots, and we're reducing it to 18. And we will be putting security cameras there again, so that I think makes it a much better situation for the neighbors than
Those 18 spots, are you gonna have a fence or a chain or something, so?
there'll be a barrier there, yes. And then in the other spot, we want to put like, swing, something for the kids to be able to play on, so it'll be protected.
Okay, thank you. I didn't say it the first time, so I'll do it for both cases. Is anybody here to speak in favor of both of these applications? Is anybody here who wants to speak against these applications? Hearing no, we'll close the case. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next case is application V-19-13. This is an area variance for the required front yard and maximum driveway width for the property at 227 Matson Avenue to establish or maintain a driveway. The property owner is Kevin Fox, and the property is located within a residential Class A1 zoning district.
Good afternoon, I'm Terry Luckett from the Greater Syracuse Land Bank representing Kevin Fox, who lives at 227 West Matson. The reason the Land Bank is representing Mr. Fox is because we initially came in for a re-subdivision to split the lot 223 West Matson between the two adjacent properties, 219 and 227. During that process, zoning identified that the driveway was 16.5 feet wide and needed to be narrowed to 12, so normally that's not a big issue. We just tell the homeowner they have to agree to reduce it to 12, but Mr. Fox is confined to a wheelchair and was adamant that he really needs that space to get people to maneuver around his car and his wheelchair to get him into the house. So I told him I would come and, you know, fight for his case on that. Additionally, the wheelchair ramp that was installed by the VA is 1 foot 5 inches from the property line, and the required setback is 30 feet. So can I go through the standards of proof? Number 1, whether the requested variance is substantial. The applicant is requesting to locate a ramp 1 foot 5 inches instead of 30 feet from the property line. That's a 95% variance, and that distance is substantial, but because it's a low profile ramp, we don't believe this is a substantial request. Mr. Fox is also requesting to retain 6.75 square feet of tarvia between his stair landing and the ramp, and then 13.5 square feet of tarvia between the ramp landing and the sidewalk. That's a total of 20.5 square feet of tarvia. We believe that is not substantial. I don't know if you saw there's a drawing that I included in the packet called Site Plan Blow Up. So if you look at that, you can see the areas where he would be required to remove it. There's 2, I think, insignificant areas, given his request, that would be required to be removed.
Board, if you look at my picture, you can see too. From the diagram, it sort of looks like little islands of asphalt out, but when I was there yesterday, it looks like it's solid asphalt.
It is, but he would be allowed to have 4 feet, a sidewalk essentially, going to the bottom of his stairway. This is a temporary ramp, so he would be allowed to keep that 4 feet at the bottom of the existing stairway. And
So you're proposing to change what's there?
No, I'm proposing to keep it all there, but
And get rid of it.
if you guys made him take it out, he would be allowed to keep those, by right, he would be allowed to keep that 4 feet.
I see.
And he would, I think, be allowed to keep 4 feet that extended from the bottom of that ramp, because he's got to get the wheelchair down the ramp over to the driveway. So those white spots on the site plan show the pieces that would have to be removed if you made him remove it.
I see.
Okay, so I'm saying that's kind of trivial, and if you can imagine a wheelchair and people trying to help the guy falling off the driveway. Can I move on to the second one, or? Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. The handicap ramp is well constructed, it's low profile, it doesn't change the character of the neighborhood. Allowing the variances for the ramp and the driveway width allows the owner occupant to age in place. And without the variance, the property would likely become vacant. He wouldn't be able to live there. Number 3, whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method which will be feasible for the applicant to pursue but would not require a variance. The VA looked at whether or not the ramp could go through the side door or the back door. And that side door from the driveway has stairs that go up into the kitchen, so they couldn't put it there. And the back door goes to a basement, so they couldn't put it there. So any ramp access to the front door would require a variance. Number 4, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. I would say no, there's no adverse impact. It's not a floodplain, there's no endangered species there, and allowing the variance will improve the neighborhood by allowing the house to remain occupied and Mr. Fox to age in place.
Questions?
One of the staff comments was that the sidewalk should run through the driveway instead of being covered by the driveway.
Right now, that's what's there. There's a tarvia over where a
They
sidewalk.
put tarvia over the sidewalk.
Or maybe there was no sidewalk under it, I don't know.
You can see sidewalk a bit over to the right as you look from the front of the house.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Actually, yes. If we were to require the owner to remove that tarvia and install sidewalk, would that be cost prohibitive?
I think so. I really do. I think so. He does, he's not working, he's confined to his house.
Thank you. Anybody here wish to speak in favor of the application? Anybody here wish to speak against the application? Hearing none. Do we have another case? Yes, sir. We do have another case, don't we? Yeah.
Application is application V 19-14. This is an area variance for the required rear yard. The property is 813 Holly Avenue. To construct or maintain a rear deck. The property owner is Larry Mathis, and the property is located within a residential Class A zoning district.
Good afternoon. Mr. Mathis had to go to work, so I came to sit in for him.
What's your name and address?
My name is Christopher Steinhoff, and my address is 316 Burnett Avenue, apartment number 2.
Can you tell us about the case from the applicant's perspective, please?
Yes, Mr. Mathis had got a permit to build a deck to add behind his pool. Now, on the property, well, the property is graded from the backyard. It's graded down toward the house. So when he put the pool in, it was in the middle of the yard. And then when he built the deck, the main concern building the deck was that it was to go with the topography of the property, and that it was easily accessible and it was safe. That was the main concerns. The property is fenced in with a wooden fence all the way around, 6 foot high. And foolishly, he didn't look into any rules that governed, you know, how he could build the deck. He was just given a permit and had the deck built to make it safe and easily accessible. At this point, now he's asking for a variance because it was built too deep into his property. He didn't know about the fact that it had to be 20 feet from the back of the yard, in other words. So, and the deck is built, because it's a two-family home dwelling, and there's children living downstairs, so he didn't want to have too many steps going up into it as well. So it's like a step-down deck, and it fits right into the topography of the property because it's graded going that way, going up toward the back of the property. And I helped him with the application, so I'm pretty familiar with it, and it doesn't affect any other properties. It actually enhances the value of his property as well as it would enhance the value of other properties around it. And considering the fact that it's fenced in yard, completely fenced in, it shouldn't be a problem whatsoever.
What's behind the deck? A neighbor, a house?
There's a house behind there, a yard behind there, but there's also a fence separating it. In other words, the fence goes all the way around the property.
So there was a building permit gotten for just the pool, is that what happened?
No, there was a building permit gotten for the deck as well, but there was no guidelines that he knew of as far as, you know, how he could and couldn't build it.
Was there any sketch given at the time that you got the building permit?
There was not.
Yeah, I would think there.
I did when I.
Without a sketch.
Page 209. 208 and 209.
He's telling me that there was not. So I don't have that answer, to be honest.
That was for the, that was the sketch for the pool. Was there a permit for the deck, right? No permit pulled for the deck. Permit pulled for the pool.
The applicant is stating that there was, but I guess we don't have any indication that there was.
Right.
Who built the deck? Did he build it himself or hire somebody? How did
He
it?
hired somebody to build it, a friend of his.
So here's the sketch. Why didn't he sketch in the deck at the same time he sketched in the pool?
I'm not sure. Anything that was submitted there was, any sketches there that I did for him, I don't know if those are prior to the permit or not. I'd have to see it. I'm not sure what you're looking at.
Other questions?
I did not.
Yeah, the sketch I'm looking at has the pool, correct me if I'm wrong,
Page
where the deck is.
Where the deck is
Yeah,
basically.
right, okay.
Okay.
I'm not,
The, yeah, I think the permit one is to do the pool, right, yeah. And that's how it's supposed to be done. And then we end up, this one's 209, this one's 203.
so,
30.8
Okay.
feet plus 5, so probably 50.
Okay, all right. I was just showing the picture you're looking at, so now I see what you're saying.
So, did he hire a company to install the deck?
He hired a friend of his to build the deck.
other questions?
So there was something in here about the reason why the pool is moved from where it was permitted to be. Property, the pool had to be placed in a spot away from my house for safety. Yeah, nope.
What page is that on?
Well, we thought there might have been something in the letter that said why, because the pool was supposed to be right at that 5-foot line.
Right.
But now it's about 30.8 feet towards the house.
Safety of the deck had to be built in a spot.
It's like 22 and a half feet away from the house. It's kind of in the middle of the property because, and like, as I said, that the property is graded down toward, so he would have had to put in fill if he was gonna go ahead and, you know, and level everything out if he was the other way.
I'm not a pool expert. The pools always, you always build a deck for the pool? You don't always do, right?
No.
You can.
Do you know for a fact that he had planned to have a deck with this pool?
I can't answer that.
It says in our materials, the request, it's the result of the property owner being cited for constructing a deck without getting a building permit for the deck.
Oh, there you go.
He did get a building permit for the above-ground pool, but not for the deck.
I thought there was a permit for the deck as well.
No, it seems to just be for the pool, that little pool spot is going to do that work. But I don't see any mention of anything else.
Still at the rear of the property.
So in the building permit, the pool is 5 feet from the back, is that?
Was that allowed?
You have to have 5 feet of yard space between the pool and any property line or the dwelling.
So that's okay?
That was legal, yeah.
That 5 foot,
Well, we didn't review that, but I think we would have to figure out whether there's a required.
maybe that's a little too close too.
So, here's what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is that, I mean, you're a good friend, and you came in to represent, you're a friend, and you don't have the facts as stated here. You're under the impression, at least, that the story is different than we see here. So I'm wondering if we should speak to this person or just use the facts we have now, you know.
I mean, if those are the facts presented,
Yeah.
should be represented, he signed the application.
Right. And the definitive thing here is it says that he was cited for constructing a deck without a permit, whether you knew or not, that, you know, that's the case, so. Any other questions?
I think we have the facts here
Yes,
sufficiently.
okay, fine, I just thought I'd raise that, try to be compassionate. No other questions?
I was under the impression that there was a permit to build a deck, but the deck was built too close to the back of the property, so that's why he was asking for a variance.
That's not the information we have here.
Well, that was my
It's not the
impression.
information on the original plan either that we have here. So, like I say, we're not accusing you of anything. We feel we have the facts here and that you're misinformed. Well, I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at. Could he prove it differently? But
Do we have all the permits that were filed with the city here?
Correct. I think what happened, he got a permit for the pool, and when they went to do the final inspection, there was a deck, so he was cited, and then he came in to try to get a permit for the pool.
For the
And
deck?
the permit, or, yes, correct, for the deck, and the permit office sent him up to us.
Gotcha.
other questions?
Corrective action on the outstanding violations says obtain permits and zoning approval for large deck, fence, and electric installed for the pool. All of those things still need to happen?
Have they happened?
Well, obviously we haven't had the deck, but fence and electric?
I
Okay.
don't know.
And when a permit is requested for a pool, wouldn't it also include the electric?
Should, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you kind of need
If there's a
that.
heater and,
or, yeah.
Pump usually, cause you're running.
Yeah.
To run.
So,
And what,
it does. I wonder if the pool was moved, was it installed first and moved? Again, I don't know much about pools, so, that would be unlikely. Did the deck go in first before they installed the pool?
I doubt it. It would be floating.
Yeah, well, it doesn't. Thank you very much. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak in favor of the application? Is there anybody who wishes to speak against it? Hearing none. That's it. So we have Genesee Street, right?
Ashworth Place.
Oh, we have
let's talk about.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I call it deputy, but okay. We have V19-10. It was held. Continue.
Did you ask if anyone's in favor or against?
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
That's okay.
thank you. Yes, it's held.
But if there's
So,
anybody here
so
to
should we
speak
vote
about
to
it-
keep, should we ask if anybody's here to speak about the
Yeah.
Ashworth?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I'll do this, wait a minute. Okay, so we're gonna reopen V19-10. I'm not gonna read it all.
It was already read into the
It was,
record.
it was read. Is there anybody here who came to speak in favor of that application? Is there anybody here that came to speak against that application?
And again, this is the long list of properties along East Genesee Street and Ashworth Place.
Please state your name and address.
Yes, my name is Ken Garno. I live at 1205 Cumberland Street in the city. I'm a facilitator for the east sector of TNT. TNT stands for Tomorrow's Neighborhood Today, neighborhood. And looking at this rendition of this project, which was on the website, I don't think it would fit in any residential neighborhood in the city of Syracuse. To me, it belongs downtown if it's anywhere based on its appearance. This particular neighborhood has been making a comeback in the last few years with projects and residential units being renovated and turned into nice-looking homes. This particular project, if it's built, in my opinion, will destroy the neighborhood. It does not look like a neighborhood in any residential area that I know in the city. The other part that concerns me greatly is that in listening to the mayor and the county executive and other public officials, our water systems, our sewer systems, and our roadways are in bad shape, very bad shape, and there is no money to fix them. This particular project would take an area that probably has about 100 daily users of these systems today and replace it with over 500 daily users of these systems. And based on what they describe in the project, it's going to be for working people, which means that the main impact on these systems will occur between 5 in the morning and 9 in the morning and 5 at night and 9 at night. And I wonder, in their environmental impact statement, did they study the sewer system all the way down to Metro? Will it handle these flows? My concern is, of course, if it doesn't and they fail, we the taxpayers will pay to fix it, not the owners. They live in New Jersey, so they're not going to pay to fix our sewers beyond their property lines. They're also not going to pay to fix our water lines. They're also not going to pay to fix our roadways. All of these things, to me, as a taxpayer and a resident of the city of Syracuse, make no sense. I believe that you as a board need to deny these requests, because this particular project, if it's built, in the end, will not benefit the taxpayers and the residents of the city of Syracuse at all. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak against the application? So I will ask, we've heard them. They haven't changed anything. We've read, we have the secret, we have their responses to everything. I'm just asking, do we want to vote today?
I'll, for the record, want to state that I will abstain from voting on this case.
And I will too.
So I got 4 people. And I'm deferring, I'm asking your opinion. I'm totally open because
So at this point, we still have planning commission, right, that has to review, correct? Because we got the neg deck on the seeker, so the environmental issues have been decided. So that's not in our purview at this point. But planning commission still has to approve, yes?
Well, they have a review.
Right.
And if this board does not approve any of the waivers, then the physical form in
Doesn't
which
really matter.
it was presented is a moot point,
Mhm.
and the commission would not, it'd be inappropriate to move
So the
forward.
commission's waiting kind of on us, in a sense.
Well, it's just, it's the timing that, you know, the fact that both boards are doing this, and they're waiting for seeker, now that seeker is here, the involved agencies can make a decision.
you what Christie's saying, if we denied it today, would the planning commission still talk about it?
Well, I would get with the applicant and ask if they would like to withdraw, but if the planning commission approves it, or if you deny it, then bringing it to the planning commission, seems really.
It's not gonna help them.
Because even if they approved it, they can't build it.
So any opinions on my question? You know,
Well, I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
If we were to, and I'm only going to say deny it just because that's the one that would have the most serious implications, but if we were to deny this today, then they would still have an option of doing this project, but they'd have to bring it back in a different iteration. They'd have to make some substantial changes to their proposal.
If we deny it, what is the, I'm gonna say it the way I'm thinking of it. Yeah. How does it look? We're not giving them a chance to talk to us as well.
I mean, they had their chance,
Yeah, right, and I understand, that's why I brought it up. I'm just looking at, you know,
and they're represented by counsel who's aware, I'm sure, of how these
they
things
know,
go.
they knew that they were supposed to be here, right?
Yes.
Is it possible that they didn't come because they're working on that next phase already? Because that's what I heard.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
No one has contacted our office
Right.
to indicate that.
So,
What's the next phase? What do you mean by that?
Maybe on their next iteration of it.
yeah, that they were gonna make it smaller. That's what I was told by their attorney. It's informally, either here or,
Well, even if we denied it, then it would come back with the whole case, it'd be
Right.
rebuilding.
right, okay. I just don't, you know, if there was a confusion today. So,
I would prefer to make a decision today.
okay. Is there a motion?
I guess I am it, who knew? Not speaking up would put me in the hot seat. Where are my factors? So I can run through them very. I'm gonna make a motion to deny the area variance request for case V 1910. Will there be a change to the neighborhood?
I'll second it.
Oops, sorry.
I'll second that.
Sorry, 1 second, sorry. Will there be a change to the neighborhood character? Currently 505 on Walnut, is basically an identical structure. It appears that they're complying mostly with the mansion area, so I don't believe there will be an entire change to what the neighborhood currently looks like. Are there alternate solutions available so that a variance is not needed? I don't actually know. The last time they were here, we had asked such a question, and they said we have not considered any other options apart from the one we have presented you. So there may be, we just don't know that. So the next factor, what is the magnitude of the variance being requested? At least in the one, meaning the lot coverage request, it is substantial. The lot coverage that's permitted in this area is 40%. They're asking for 84%, and haven't proposed any other reasons or alternatives for something smaller or different or why it has to be that way. So I think the magnitude is very large. Will there be an adverse effect on the surrounding neighborhood if this variance is approved? I think it's possible. The density is pretty high. It's going from currently single or multifamily homes, and the density, as was pointed out, will probably go from 100 or so people up to 500, but we also aren't sure how many people this is actually slated to hold, right? We've got 283 units, but we don't know whether it's 5 studios, 10 2-bedrooms, 4 5-bedrooms, whatever the case may be. So, but the number, if we assume 2 people in each unit, is about 566. Thank you. 566 people, so the density certainly will change. Is this a self-created difficulty? On some of the parcels, yes it is, because they currently own it. So had they showed up before asking us if we might approve these variances before they closed on those purchases, then I could say no, but since they own a good swath of the property already, then I say yes, it is self-created.
I would further add that it's self-created because they conceived of this project and conceived of this level of density as well.
Yeah, and as far as do they have other options, they speak to other options in one of these documents that we had, that, you know, to flatten it out, to make it smaller, to make it more, what would you call it? You know, spread out a little bit, and they reject that because it wouldn't, you know, fit their model and make them, wouldn't be profitable.
Wouldn't be as profitable.
Yeah. Oh, you're abstaining. You're abstaining. Okay. You guys should put your head down. Okay. Anything else? No? Okay, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor of denying the variance say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's move on to V1912 Butternut Street to establish the Vineyard Church. Is there a motion? You guys are back in, right?
Yep, they've been tagged back in.
Need a motion.
I gotta find my notes.
Well, I'll make a motion, we approve.
Second.
I'll second.
Rationale, please.
Will there be a big change to the neighborhood character? I don't think so. If anything, the building will be put back to use, and this may inspire some people to live better lives. Is there an alternate solution that are available? Well, apparently not, because the city is requiring parking spaces, and these spaces may or may not be required. The magnitude is, in that sense, is not very large. And will there be an adverse effect on the neighborhood? I highly doubt it. And is it self-created? I'm going to say no.
Nick?
Yes. No. Yes, I guess I'll add that I do think that, familiar with the site, I think that, as an aside, the church here and the activity that'll be created by the church will be good for the neighborhood. I think that, the policing of that lot in the back, I don't doubt that I don't know for a fact that there's the activity that was stated, but I wouldn't doubt it. And I think that, the cameras in the back and activity in the back, as opposed to having a secluded, well-covered vacant lot, is gonna be better for that site, so.
That's the
Well,
next, the exception.
Yeah, tied it
Next.
together, but I'll repeat that on the next one if I have to. But, I'm in favor of it.
Anybody else? Yeah, I mean, it would seem like this would be under the category of good activity and you know, it's about community, and I don't think the parking, you know, I mean, the studies and everything are fine, but it seems like there's room to park there, and there's street parking and all that, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, that plaza, today doesn't get much activity over there.
Well, a little bit more.
That'll change.
Yeah, which is good.
Okay, so all those in favor of approving the variance, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? No. Okay, one more for the Vineyard Church, E19-01 exception, 524 Butternut Street. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
So do I have to go through tests? It's not, oh, it's an area variance?
Couldn't hurt.
Actually, you do not.
Okay,
We could reaffirm
Perfect.
what you said,
okay.
with the variance that is, companion to it.
Yeah, as a companion to the previous case, I will support.
allowing the parking in that lot, with this exception.
Correct. I mean, that's the motion I made to approve it. I will piggyback on Michael's comments as far as the variance goes on the first case. This ties into it, and I'll repeat what I said. I think that activity in that back lot is going to be better, and it's going to be limited, but that activity will be better for the neighborhood than what's occurring there allegedly today.
I'm going to vote no. I think there's a massive amount of parking already available to this project. They don't need that extra at the back.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the variance, say aye.
Aye.
All those against, say no. No. Opposed. Okay, so that's 4-2, it passes. It passes, okay. Next, 227 West Matson, 1913. That is, oh, that's the driveway.
Driveway with wheel tramp ramp.
Yes, is there a motion on that?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second
with
that.
Condition.
Sorry. Let me hear your condition.
Okay. The condition is that if the ramp ever comes down, then the driveway needs to be set back to the legal limit.
I don't know if we can actually.
Yep.
It's, we've done this in the past. It's questionable about the enforceability, but it displays our intent.
On paper at least, if they follow through or not, you know.
I mean, I'm just assuming that if Mr. Fox is in a wheelchair, that he's going to continue to be in the wheelchair, is.
I'm assuming after he leaves. The ramp may come down, the family that moves in there may not want a big steel ramp in the front yard.
Right, and it is a temporary ramp.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And the VA would probably.
But it goes with the properties, you know.
Right.
So,
Okay, I can support that.
live with that, all right. I'll go through the, will there be a change to the neighborhood character? It is a negative change because of the asphalt, and it's right up next to the sidewalk, but it's minor in the larger scheme of things. And it does help to make the ramp accessible and usable. Are there alternate solutions available so that the variance is not needed? I don't think there are. You need, you know, I was playing in my mind, could the ramp have been designed so it brought it closer up to the driveway, but then you don't have the staging area to get in and out of the vehicle. So there may not be another way to do this. The magnitude of the variance is being requested. It is noticeable, but not enormous. Will there be adverse effect to the surrounding neighborhood if this variance is approved? There will be, but I think it will be small, and I hope it will not go forever with this property, that someday the ramp will no longer be needed. A self-created difficulty, In a way it is, but the degrees of freedom for the project are limited. It's hard to see how it could have been done without having that area for the movement of the wheelchair to the ramp.
Although I agree with approving the variance, I don't agree that this is self-created in the sense that the property, has the issue that it has, and Mr. Fox has a disability and needs to have this type of accommodation made. But other than that, I'm in agreement.
Okay. Anybody else? All those in favor of approving the variance with the condition, thank you, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. It's unanimous. 813 Hawley Avenue, construct or maintain a deck, B1914. Is there a motion? Is there a motion?
Okay, I'll make a motion to deny.
Is there a second?
I'm going to second it for the purpose of conversation.
Okay. Mike?
I'm aware of the hardship it would be if we deny this. There are a number of things that would have to be adjusted there, but what use is it for the city to have building permits if people don't build what they get a permit to build? And it's taking up an enormous amount in the backyard. It is up to and beyond the required setbacks. I guess I need to go through the standards. I need to go through the standards, don't I, for a denial?
Yeah, you gotta.
Well, it would be helpful so that in writing a resolution, you can justify, but yes, you should go through the standards.
Okay. Change of the neighborhood character is behind a wall, but it is an enormous change to the character of what's been built at the back. Are there alternate solutions available so that a variance is not needed? That goes to the next question about self-created difficulty. The available solution was to get a permit before building and to build what the permit allowed you to build. The magnitude of the variance being requested, there's no permit for a large deck that was built without a permit. That takes up a very large part of the backyard. Adverse effect on the surrounding neighborhood if this variance is approved. I think it will. Behind those walls it'll be noticed, and it also goes to the question of what the city can and should require of residents before something is built. Self-created difficulty, it's very much a self-created difficulty because a permit wasn't gotten for what was constructed.
What do you have to say?
So
Carolyn first.
I agree with everything that you've just said. The reason why I thought we ought to discuss this is that one of the issues that I have, and Stu kind of raised it earlier, is that because the owner is not here, if he has some other evidence, I mean, obviously he should have sent it today with his representative. But my concern is that with a denial, there is no other option but to come back with something entirely different. That's my only issue with this.
Okay.
Mike?
And I was gonna make a comment. So they have a fence on the property line, and he has this deck, so even though you have the deck, people on the deck will be able to be seen from the neighbors, or, the privacy of the neighbor is going to be diminished because of the deck being so close to the,
So,
Yeah, they're up on a platform, so to speak.
It looks like the deck might actually, like the rails might come up even higher than the 6-foot fence. Just.
yeah, and I raised that question, and the applicant's representative came in either terribly he came in misinformed according to every fact we have. I don't think the applicant's going to come in and say, "Oh no, I have a permit." If he does, then he's going to have to look for another remedy for that. And the fact that he had a different story than
was on the
very
paper.
very apparent here. Yeah, I mean we have sketches, and all that. It's a terrible hardship to have to deal with this, but
Well, if my motion fails, then we could have a vote to hold it over for another week.
So, anybody else have anything to say? All those in favor of denying the variance, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Abstentions? It's unanimous, okay. We have one authorization for April 18th. Is there a motion to approve that?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
In favor, say